Hi, I'm Ethan, a 38-year-old software engineer who usually prefers to stay behind the scenes. But tonight, that changes. Before I dive into the story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales like this one. Now let's get started. Walking into the high school gymnasium, festooned with balloons and banners declaring Class of '03 reunion, felt like stepping onto an alien planet. Vanessa had been buzzing with excitement all week, eagerly sharing stories of her teenage years filled with drama and old flames. Me? I would have been perfectly content at home with a good book and our cat, Whiskers. As we approached the registration desk, Vanessa squeezed my hand, a warning of the bombshell she was about to drop. With a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes, she leaned towards the name tag table and chirped, "This is Ethan, my personal assistant. He's here to help out tonight." The committee member raised an eyebrow but handed me a name tag that read, "Ethan, personal assistant." I pinned it to my chest, a silent protest against the role I was being forced to play. "Why didn't you introduce me as your husband?" I whispered as we moved toward the crowd. "Oh, Ethan, you know how these things go. Just play along. It'll make the night more fun," Vanessa replied, her attention already scanning the room for familiar faces. The evening dragged on with Vanessa flitting from group to group, laughter trailing in her wake. I stationed myself by the punch bowl, fulfilling my assigned duties, fetching drinks and snapping photos when called upon. Each click of the camera felt like a small surrender to the charade. At one point, Vanessa waved me over to a particularly loud cluster of alumni. "Babe, can you get us a couple of drinks? This is Mark, my old friend from the drama club." "Mark, Ethan here makes the best cocktails," she said, her voice tinged with a high, flirty giggle that grated on my nerves. Mark looked me over, his smile polite but puzzled. "Nice to meet you, Ethan. Heard you're the go-to guy tonight, huh?" As I handed them their drinks, Vanessa laughed again. "He's the best assistant I could ask for." Retreating to the sidelines, I pulled out my phone and pretended to check emails, a mask of productivity as my mind raced. Not with codes and algorithms, but with the unsettling realization of how little I knew about the woman I had married. "Is this really your life now, Ethan?" A voice interrupted my thoughts. Turning, I found myself face to face with Jessica, another former classmate of Vanessa's, who seemed more interested in a genuine conversation than in reminiscing about high school pranks. "Yeah, tonight it seems so, but normally I'm the CEO of a tech startup. We're actually doing quite well, developing AI-driven solutions for small businesses," I explained, the truth bringing a small sense of comfort. Jessica's eyebrows shot up. "Really? That's impressive. Why on earth would Vanessa introduce you as her assistant?" Shrugging, I sipped my drink, the ice clinking against the glass like a timer counting down the evening. "I guess she thought it would make for an interesting story. Honestly, I'm just trying to make it through the night." Laughter, a perfect backdrop for the shifting dynamics of the evening, filled the air as I navigated through groups of Vanessa's classmates. The topic of my tech ventures followed closely, drawing more interest than high school memories. "Ethan, I heard you're doing some big things in the tech world." "That's really cool," Linda, a former cheerleader, remarked as she joined the circle I was chatting with. "Yeah, it's been a challenging but rewarding journey. We're actually looking to expand our team soon," I shared, enjoying the genuine curiosity from the group. "Expansion, huh? Sounds like you might need some more hands on deck. What sort of roles are you looking to fill?" Derek, another classmate, asked, leaning in with interest. "We're mostly looking for engineers and developers right now, but there's always room for talent in other areas too," I explained, noticing more people eavesdropping on the conversation. As the group digested this information, Mark made his way over, his demeanor a mix of curiosity and slight desperation. "Hey, Ethan, I couldn't help but overhear. I've been doing some acting but I'm also looking to maybe shift careers. Do you think there might be a place for me in your company?" Mark's question hung in the air, drawing a few raised eyebrows from the surrounding crowd. I gave him a friendly nod. "We can always use people with diverse backgrounds. Why don't you send me your resume and we can see if there's a potential fit?" "Really? That would be amazing." "Thanks," Mark replied, his tone filled with relief and hope. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Vanessa watching the exchange, her smile faltering as she realized the attention had shifted away from her. The tide had turned, and as Vanessa's attempts to reclaim the spotlight floundered, The reunion transformed. It became less about past glories and more about future possibilities, with me unexpectedly at the center of these new discussions. The reunion's festive noise dwindled in my rearview mirror as I drove home alone. The evening's events were playing in my mind. The quiet of the next few weeks offered a stark contrast, giving me ample time to reflect on where Vanessa and I stood. One evening, as we sat across from each other at our dining room table, Vanessa nervously stirring her tea, I decided it was time to address the elephant in the room. "Vanessa, we need to talk about the reunion," I started, my voice calm but firm. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine briefly before darting away. "I know, Ethan. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for things to go like that. It was supposed to be a joke." "A joke?" I echoed, disbelief evident in my tone. "For the entire night, you introduced me as your personal assistant. You made me feel humiliated in front of people I didn't even know." I know what was wrong," Vanessa replied quickly, her voice rising slightly in her urgency to mend things. "I just got caught up in the moment. It won't happen again, I promise. Can we just forget it and move on?" "Forget and move on," I repeated, my patience wearing thin. "It's not just about a single night, Vanessa. It's about the lack of respect you showed, for me, for us." She reached across the table, trying to grasp my hand, but I pulled away gently. "I really am sorry, Ethan. What can I do to make it up to you?" I sighed, looking at her, really looking, and seeing the lack of genuine understanding in her gaze. "It's not about doing something to make up for it. It's about the respect we're supposed to have for each other. I felt like I didn't matter to you, like I was just there to boost your image." Vanessa's face fell, and she withdrew her hand, wrapping it around her cup. "I didn't realize it was that serious to you. I thought you'd brush it off like you do with most things." "That's the problem, Vanessa. I shouldn't have to brush off being disrespected by my own wife." The conversation lingered in the air, heavy and uncomfortable. Vanessa seemed to struggle with what to say next, her earlier facade of easy apologies crumbling under the weight of genuine scrutiny. "I don't know what else to say, Ethan. I'm sorry doesn't seem enough, but it's all I have right now." I nodded slowly, the decision solidifying in my heart with her every word. "Maybe it's not enough this time, Vanessa." We sat in silence, the distance between us more profound than the length of the table. As the days turned into weeks, it became clear that the reunion was not just a night of pretenses, but a revelation of truths long ignored. Early one morning, as the soft light filtered through the blinds of my office, I signed the last of the divorce papers with a steady hand. The prenuptial agreement, once a mere formality at the start of our marriage, now served as my safeguard, ensuring that my life's work remained untouched. The weight of the decision settled in, not as a burden, but as a release. Later that week, at a small cafe downtown, I found myself across from Vanessa for one of the last times. She looked hopeful, a stark contrast to the finality of the documents in my briefcase. "Ethan, isn't there any way we can work this out?" Vanessa pleaded, her voice soft, her eyes searching mine for a sign of the old warmth. I stirred my coffee, watching the swirls blend seamlessly, unlike our lives. "I think we've gone past the point of fixing things, Vanessa. Some actions can't be undone or brushed away." "But I've changed, Ethan. I've realized how wrong I was," she insisted, her hands clasped tightly around her cup. "I'm glad to hear you've had some realizations, Vanessa," I replied evenly, "but it doesn't change the history or the impact of your actions. I need to move on." Her gaze faltered, and she nodded slowly, resigned. "I just thought maybe there was still something worth saving." Sometimes the best thing we can do is let go and allow each other to find happiness elsewhere, I said, feeling the truth of my words more deeply than I expected. The conversation dwindled, and we parted ways, a silent acknowledgement that some endings are just new beginnings in disguise. Over the following months, I immersed myself in new projects and hobbies, rediscovering passions I'd set aside during our tumultuous years together. At a tech conference, as I mingled among peers, the freedom of my new life was palpable. "How's it going, Ethan?" a colleague asked, clapping me on the shoulder. "Better than ever," I responded genuinely, the ease in my smile reflecting the peace I'd found. "It's amazing what a fresh start can do for you." Vanessa's attempts to reach out continued sporadically, but each message went unanswered. The decision to move forward alone was not made out of spite, but out of a necessity to respect my own boundaries and worth. As the conference wrapped up, I looked around at the faces of innovation and progress, my heart lighter. Life was full of challenges, but also full of opportunities for rebirth. As I walked out into the crisp evening air, I felt ready to embrace whatever came next, on my own terms. Ethan found freedom and a fresh start by standing up for his self-respect. What would you do in his situation? Would you have given Vanessa another chance or taken the same path as Ethan? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, please like the video and consider subscribing for more content like this. Your support helps us bring more stories to life.